World War I produced a number of military leaders whose actions and decisions shaped the early course of the conflict. Among them was Field Marshal John French, 1st Earl of Ypres, who commanded the British Expeditionary Force, BEF, during the critical opening stages of the war. Tasked with leading Britain's initial involvement on the Western Front, French was at the helm during some of the most intense early battles of the war, including the battles of Mons, the Marne, and Ypres. His tenure as commander, though marked by both successes and controversies, remains a significant chapter in British military history. In this video, we'll explore the life and career of John French, from his early military exploits to his leadership during World War I, and the lasting impact of his actions on the course of the war. John Denton Pinkstone French was born on September 28, 1852, in Ripple, Kent, into a family with military connections. Following in the footsteps of his relatives, French chose a military career. His early years in the British Army were spent in various colonial conflicts, where he gained valuable combat experience. Serving in places like Sudan and South Africa, French demonstrated leadership and tactical skill, qualities that would propel him to higher ranks. It was during the Second Boer War, 1899–1902, in South Africa, that French's abilities as a commander were truly recognized. He played a key role in the relief of Kimberley, a major success for the British. His leadership during the Battle of Colesberg also earned him high praise, as he showcased his ability to adapt and command under pressure. By the end of the Boer War, French had earned a reputation as a decisive and effective leader, which paved the way for his future assignments. When World War I erupted in 1914, French was appointed as the commander of the British Expeditionary Force, BEF. The BEF, a relatively small but highly trained professional army, was Britain's contribution to the Western Front alongside French and Belgian forces. As its leader, French faced the monumental task of guiding Britain's initial military response in a war of unprecedented scale and complexity. French was tasked with quickly moving his forces to Belgium to support the French army in resisting the German advance through Belgium and northern France. This was no small feat, as the BEF faced the formidable German army, which had planned to outflank the Allies through its Schlieffen Plan. As tensions mounted on the Western Front, French would soon find himself leading the BEF into its first major engagements. The Battle of Mons, fought in August 1914, was the BEF's first significant encounter with the German forces. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the British troops put up a fierce resistance, inflicting significant casualties on the Germans. French's leadership during this battle was crucial in ensuring that the BEF remained a coherent fighting force despite overwhelming odds. The BEF's effective use of rifle fire, combined with French's ability to manage the situation, helped the British hold their ground temporarily. However, as the German forces pressed forward, the BEF, along with French and Belgian troops, was forced to retreat in what became known as the Great Retreat. This retreat spanned more than 250 miles and lasted for nearly 2 weeks. It was a strategic necessity, as the Allies sought to regroup and prevent a total collapse of their front lines. French's role in coordinating the retreat while maintaining order and discipline among his forces was critical to the BEF's survival. Though the retreat was arduous, it allowed the BEF to join the French army in the decisive Battle of the Marne, where the German advance was finally halted. Following the Marne, French led the BEF in another pivotal engagement, the First Battle of Ypres, fought in October and November 1914. This battle marked the beginning of the static trench warfare that would come to define the Western Front. The town of Ypres, located in Belgium, was of immense strategic importance, and both the Allies and the Germans were determined to control it. The BEF, alongside French forces, faced relentless attacks from the Germans, who sought to break through the Allied lines. Despite heavy casualties and the exhaustion of his troops, French was able to hold the line, preventing a German breakthrough. The First Battle of Ypres was a costly but crucial victory for the Allies. French's leadership during this battle, Particularly his ability to maintain the morale and fighting spirit of his men in the face of overwhelming odds was a testament to his resolve. However, the battle came at a great cost. The BEF suffered significant losses, with many of its original soldiers killed or wounded. This marked the beginning of the long and brutal trench warfare that would dominate the Western Front for the next 4 years. Despite the heavy toll, French's success at Ypres ensured that the Allies maintained control of this vital sector of the front. As the war progressed, French's leadership came under increasing scrutiny. His cautious approach to large-scale offensives, combined with his sometimes difficult relationships with his French allies, particularly General Joseph Joffre, led to tensions within the Allied command structure. French was often reluctant to commit British forces to joint operations that he believed were poorly planned or too risky. This cautiousness, while intended to preserve his forces, sometimes frustrated his French counterparts, who were eager for more aggressive action. One of the most significant controversies surrounding French's leadership occurred during the Second Battle of Ypres in 1915. This battle saw the first large-scale use of poison gas by the Germans, which caught the British troops off guard. The ensuing chaos and heavy casualties led to criticism of French's preparedness and decision-making during the battle. While the BEF managed to hold its ground, the losses and the perception that French had been slow to respond to the new threat of gas warfare damaged his reputation. By late 1915, French's leadership was increasingly seen as problematic by both political leaders and military figures in Britain. His cautiousness, coupled with growing friction between him and his subordinates, led to calls for a change in command. In December 1915, French was replaced by General Sir Douglas Haig as the commander of the BEF. Although his time as commander of the BEF had come to an end, French's military career did not conclude there. He was given a peerage, becoming the first Earl of Ypres, in recognition of his service during the war. He was also appointed Commander-in-Chief of Home Forces, where he oversaw Britain's defense against potential German invasion and helped manage the expansion of the British Army. After the war, French remained active in public life. He served as the Lord Lieutenant of Ireland from 1918 to 1921, a period of great unrest and political upheaval. French's tenure in Ireland coincided with the Irish War of Independence, and he struggled to maintain British control in the face of increasing demands for Irish independence. His time in Ireland was marked by violence and unrest, and he ultimately left the position in 1921. John French's legacy is a complex one. He is remembered for his early successes in World War I, particularly during the battles of Mons and Ypres, where his leadership helped prevent the collapse of the Allied front. However, his cautiousness and sometimes strained relationships with both his subordinates and his French allies led to his eventual removal from command. While his tenure as commander of the BEF was not without controversy, his contributions to Britain's war effort, especially during the critical early months of the conflict, cannot be overlooked. Field Marshal John French played a pivotal role during the early stages of World War I, leading the British Expeditionary Force through some of the war's most challenging and decisive moments. His leadership during the battles of Mons and Ypres helped shape the course of the war, and his ability to manage the BEF during the Great Retreat ensured that Britain remained a vital part of the Allied effort. Though his later leadership was criticized for its caution and his relationships with other Allied leaders were often strained, French's contributions to the defense of the Western Front were significant. His legacy, though mixed, remains an important part of British military history, and his role in World War I continues to be studied and debated by historians today. Thank you for watching our video on Field Marshal John French, one of the key commanders of World War I's early years. If you enjoyed learning about his military career and role in shaping the conflict, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Heroes Historia for more in-depth historical content. We'd love to hear your thoughts on John French's legacy. Leave a comment below to join the discussion. Your support helps us continue bringing fascinating stories from history to life. Until next time, keep exploring the past with Heroes Historia.